Okay, so what is your question?
I've heard and I feel myself that old injuries come back to haunt you as you get older. And is it due to the blockages of energy that are happening in those spots that have been injured?
Yeah, that's a great question. Not all injuries are like that, but some are, and this is why. So from the moment we're born, well, when we're just alive, and then we start growing. But at the same time you're born, you also start dying because your cells start to decay and stuff like that, right? When you're born, you have both growth and decay, but you have a lot more growth than you have decay. And as life goes on, they start to equal, and then it starts to go like this. So as some growth is outpacing decay, you're thriving, you're growing. And then when it's the other way, then you're like decaying, you're aging and becoming, falling apart until it's done. And so when you're born, your body starts to generate yang qi. The yang qi expands your body, expands your joints, elongates your arms, so you're literally growing longer and bigger. And then eventually your little baby can stand up and they look like they're full of qi. But sometimes something happens that changes that. Like let's say you're walking in your house at night in the dark and you bang your leg against the coffee table and you're like, oh, and you kind of shrink up. That pain and that feeling that your body is like, oh, I'm injured, I'm falling apart, makes it temporarily hold the yang qi from that area. Because if you feel like you're falling apart, you don't want to keep pushing it apart. Does that make sense? Yeah. So instead there's a contractile force that pulls in on that area, okay, to hold you together, like, ooh, make sure it's okay. Or you sprain your shoulder and then you're like this for a while, right? And then once you heal, when you kick the coffee table, that'll go away pretty fast. If you sprain your shoulder, that may maybe take a month. But when it goes away, your body relaxes and the yang qi fills that area again, and you go back to your good healthy posture, you resume growing and thriving. But sometimes, for whatever reason, the body forgets about that. So it's like it's injured, and then it's healed. Your white blood cells, red blood cells, everybody's doing their job, stem cells. And then afterwards, it's healed, it's not falling apart, but it doesn't reinflate. And part of the condensing force, that pulling in force, is laying down scar tissue. So scar tissue plus the qi force is now there, holding your shoulders like this. And now you can't use it right, and it gets re-injured easily, or it bothers you on certain occasions. And that's what you're asking me about. So in those cases, the proper Qigong or proper Daoyin practice is super beneficial, because when you're forcing open the blockages, scar tissue is a form of chronic tension, stiffness that interferes with your qi flow. When you break it up, either by massage means, or you can use your Qigong to power through it and break it up, then when the yang qi reinflates, then body goes, oh yeah, this is healed. Why was I being like this? And so it reestablishes normal pattern of living and thriving. And so it'll open back up, it'll get rid of the scar tissue that it knows it no longer needs, as opposed to hang on to it for dear life. And then you can get back to the proper, complete healing instead of an old, lingering injury. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, so thanks for asking. Great question.